So next, we're going to be looking at the other cuts of vegetables. Looking at large dice, small dice, batons, shapes, and matchsticks. The vegetables we're going to be using, we've got some celery, some carrots, and some leek. And the first thing I have to do, and always do, is to wash the vegetables before peeling. So we've washed our veg. Our next challenge is to peel. So we'll take our waste bowl. And with our carrots, just going to peel from top to bottom. The main thing is when peeling is the product that you're peeling still has to look like the same product at the end. It still has to be a round carrot. So we don't do hexagonal and hack to pieces. So and if you can try and peel from top to bottom, it ensures that you're going to keep your shape. For celery, I'm just going to top and tail. And it's very important that we peel celery because the string on a celery is extremely tough. And if you've ever made a pot of soup with celery in it and not peeled it, then put it through a food processor, you can still see the skin, the little strings that comes off it. Indestructible. And our last celery. So again, keeping in an organised manner, knives to the right, waste bowl's always in the same place. And our next job is to re-wash. So we've washed all our vegetables and peeled and re-washed. The first cut that we're going to do today is matchsticks. So the first thing we want to do is to cut the vegetable into a manageable size. And again, it's using the knife properly. It's not straight up and down, it's cutting through using the design of the blade to help. Keeping your product on the flattest edge, we want to cut and square off. This piece here is actually now called trimmings, so it doesn't go in the same bowl as the peelings. It goes separately as trimmings, and that can be used for soups, stocks, sauces, purees, and that sort of thing. We then have a new flattest edge, so the food goes on the flattest edge, and we cut once, twice, which means we have 3 faced cuts, leaving the 4th on because that will give us something to hold on to. And from there, we just have to slice the carrot nice and thin. Again, just taking your time and making sure the quality of your cuts are good. And again, our 4th piece is trim. So from there, we really just want to cut this into matchsticks and making sure that don't pick up too much at a time and just cut what you're comfortable cutting with until you've cut all the carrot that's on the board. And the last little bit. So from here, what I'm going to look at is the actual quality of the cuts, because you're in charge of quality control. So make sure that you're only using the bits that you're happy with the shape that you've cut. And then place them on your tray, and that's our matchsticks done. Our next cut is small dice. Again, same as before, exact same. Trim, flat edge, trim, and trim. And just the same as the matchsticks, we've got thin slices. All the same size. And you'll notice we're using the knife the same way we did for the onion. We're slicing through the food. We then, again, the exact same as before. We cut into matchsticks. Again, just take your time. We're looking at the quality and the technique that you use when working with knives. So speed needs to be learned once you get the technique to use the knife. So we're back to having matchsticks, and then we're going to take these matchsticks just one stage further and cut those into small dice. And just take a manageable amount. So this little cut here can be used for loads of things. You know, put through dressings for a little detail, sauces, even sprinkled on salads and stuff. It just gives you a different dimension. So we've got our small dice, and we'll just pop that on the board. Our next cut, we're going to cut thin strips from the leek. Again, we want to cut it into a manageable size and use what we're comfortable with. So we take the leek, and the leek is built up in layers, and all we really have to do is to find the length and then the cut. So we get thin strips of leek. And keeping everything nice and tidy, keeping our board clear at all times. Our next cut is we're going to do some shapes. And shapes is quite an unusual cut because it takes a number of shapes to make up the complete sort of look of how it works. It takes a few different vegetables and a few different cuts. And this type of cut would be found in something like minestrone. So you can cut the celery into little kind of diamonds. Or even into squares. So different shapes will make little triangles work well. So we quarter the carrot. And just looking at really nice thin slices. And again, working clean, neat and tidy. We can add that to the celery, and that will build up. Again, just looking at quality control, just make sure you're happy with everything that's going in there, because you want it all to cook at the same time as well, and that's important. Our next cut is large dice. So again, take a piece of vegetable that you're comfortable with, flattest edge, always on the flattest edge, and then trim. So we've cut it, again, it's the exact same as almost all the other cuts, except we're just thinking about what's the overall shape that we're looking for. So if we're looking for, you know, a kind of centimetre dice or a half centimetre dice, that's the first cut, and the second cut, and the third cut. But the important thing is to try and get all your cuts the same. And again, it's learning those skills with the knife. Once you learn the skills, it becomes much easier, and the technique. Again, always work with what you can manage. And don't be too desperate to really get to the end. As I say, your fingers are much more important. So we've got a large dice. And our last cut we're going to do is batons. We'll get a couple of batons from this carrot. So flat edge, trim, and we've got our batons. So that's a number of different cuts, fundamentally using the same technique and using the same good habits of organisation. You know, you always need to keep neat and tidy, always keep your board clear, and always have the equipment that you actually need so that you're not running about and trying to find stuff. But that's our main cuts covered.